So I want to break down how the trading industry actually tricks you with all this talk about following your rules, having strict rules, trading psychology. It's not what you think. Because obviously you need trading psychology, you need strict rules, and you need to master all of that. That's completely 100% true, and I agree with that stuff. But once you actually master trading psychology, following your rules, all of that stuff, then comes the next part, which no one talks about, and which actually is what professional traders do, but most people aren't ready because they haven't even mastered simple stuff as trading psychology and following their rules in the first place. So, if you haven't mastered, and this is what I would say to myself 1 year ago, where I had a good strategy, I knew my technicals, but I still didn't follow my rules to the T. I would say to myself, you're wasting valuable time, because the irony is once you actually master your rules, that's when you can bend them, not before. So, the first step is to actually master your rules, have your A plus setups, use them correctly, and don't do basic simple mistakes that you know you shouldn't do. But after that comes the next question. You may get your A plus setup, your good setup that follows your rules strictly, maybe 3 to 5 times a month. Some good setups, you may get 4 to 5% reward each month. But what do you do on all those other days? Because people would simply tell you that you shouldn't be trading those other days. You should be disciplined. And you can use that approach, but you don't have to. You can trade a lot of those other days as well. How do you think professional traders, not prop firm traders, but professional traders managing millions for institutions, are able to trade every single day? Do you think that they have a simple trading plan that they use, which is set in stone and is not dynamic at all? That's simply not the case. They have their A plus setups where they follow their plan to the T and do everything right. I also have that on my main account. But on those other days, I have another account and I trade more dynamic, because the irony of the market is this. You have your large range moves, large range days, which is really obvious, everyone can catch them, but that's not what makes a really successful trader, which can do day trading full time. So, those other days don't follow any rules. The market doesn't care about your rules those other days. And my approach on those other days is that I look for something simple as, what's my bias on those days? I simply look at more intraday price action, more inside of the range, instead of trying to catch larger moves. Because that's what everyone does wrong. They try to catch these large moves on an intraday price action, which is more choppy, and they get stopped out each and every single time. You may get 2%, but then it retraces to your break even or stop loss. So you need to think like the opposite of everyone else on those days. So I usually trade based on the 15-minute time frame with a 1-minute entry on the 1-minute time frame. But those days I actually drop down to the 15-second time frame for entries, and I don't have these strict set in stone rules that everyone thinks you need every single day, because I allow myself to be more dynamic. You know what happens to predictable traders which trade the same exact time, the same exact time frame, and the same entry every single day? The market knows about it and it stops you out, and you become liquidity sooner or later, because you can't be too predictable. So For example, I get a retracement in your USD in London session, and instead of being really strict with, okay, it needs to do a liquidity sweep before I take an entry, or it needs to drop down to this level on the Fibonacci every single time, every single day, I know that the market doesn't care about doing the exact same predictable move every single day. I look for a retracement and then I try to target the high, but the retracement doesn't need to be identical every single day. It needs to be logical, and it doesn't have to be the exact same timing. I may take an entry 1 hour earlier than I usually do in order to not let the market know my next move, because the market does stuff like this. It sends price to your TP before you anticipated, just to confuse you, because people are too predictable. And we as retail traders, we can't see the order flow. We can't see where a lot of people actually have their stop loss, where there is volume, because we can see liquidity, but we can't actually see the orders the same way smart money is able to. So they don't care always about the same timing. They care about where the orders are. They stop those out and it's same price higher. So I take the entry when I know that we had a good pullback, and I look for a market structure shift on the 15-second. And I know that this 15-second isn't as likely to work as the 1 minute. You don't have the same high probability, but you have a probability still. So I risk 0.5% instead of 1%, and I have 2 tries, so the risk is total 1%, so it's the same risk. This is where risk management comes in. This is why you need to follow your rules, but you have to be dynamic as well. But the rules, for example, how much you're risking, needs to be constant. It needs to be the same. So I risk 1% on a 15-second break of structure. Risk to reward ratio, for example, 7%. I get stopped out. Then I try again. Same 0.1% risk, and it works. Total gain 6.5 divided by 2, 3.25 R. Simple. Most people can't catch this move because they don't even look at the 15-second time frame, and they don't have any flexibility or skills to adapt. But again, most people tell you not to trade like this. But this is where one pair, one session comes into play. Because obviously you can trade like this on multiple pairs. But let's imagine that you watch the same pair, the same session for several years. Obviously you're going to have a good feeling of that pair. And this is where you're able to trade more dynamic. Most people can't do this because they don't understand the narrative. They don't understand what's happening on the higher time frames. 15-second in itself, if you just trade on 15-second, you're going to lose your account in a few hours. 15-second is just for entries, but 15-minute is where I look at what I think the price is going to do, and 1 hour time frame and the daily candle, previous day high, low, all that stuff. But once you master, that's why I need to master one pair, one session, because people think, oh, but then I'm gonna get too few trades. No, you don't realize how many trading opportunities you have in that one pair, in that one session, once you actually understand it. Because trading in itself only needs to make sense to you. As long as you feel like you have an edge, as long as you know what you're doing, I don't care what trading pattern you're using. Obviously, you need to use some SMC, ICT concepts, for example, for your entry and take profit. But what you see on higher time frames, the pullback, I don't care what you're using, as long as it makes sense to you. That's what people don't understand. In 2024, I traded something completely different, but and the majority of traders would probably laugh at that strategy, but I passed five challenges, phase 1 and phase 2, with that strategy and got payouts. So it doesn't matter. It worked. It made sense for me because I studied the same pair, the same session for 2 years straight. So I saw something that worked, that repeated itself. That's why I'm telling you to focus on one pair, one session, and nothing else. You need to become an expert. You need to become one of the best traders in the world at only that one pair, that one session. But when someone asks you about that pair, another session, or that another pair, another session, you need to be like, I don't know. I have no clue. I have no idea, because you're specializing in one area. That's how you're going to be really good over time. And other people try to trade, for example, 4 pairs, 8 sessions, but you get a higher percentage return on one pair, one session. So if you want to work with me, if you want to join my Discord and look at my live market analysis every single day, there's a link in the bio. And if you want one-on-one coaching or mentorship, just click the Instagram link in my bio and send me a DM from there. Good luck.